Welcome back to the shop. I'm Dave, and this week I'm starting to work a little bit on the front of this truck. This week I'd like to start by putting this front bumper on the front of this chassis for good. Now this front bumper came off of another M37 that I had, and it's not in the best condition. As you can see here, it's a little bent. I think the reason why it was bent is maybe a chain might have been wrapped around it or something, because it looks like that on the bottom side also. So I'd like to take the ding out of it. It's not very straight, so I'd like to straighten that up also. And to boot, the width of the frame rail between the M37, the original one, and the frame rail of this one is just a little bit different, but I got this marked off, and hopefully I can move her so I can hook it back on. Since it is such a nice day, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to back her up a little bit. That'll give me a little bit more space in the front here, so I can so I got a little bit more space to work on this this bumper. And also I've been trying to work away at trying to decide on what kind of paint color I'm gonna paint this truck. I got some navy blue here. I got some violet. I got an assortment of browns, a couple of grays, and even some custom colors here. So anyways, let's get her backed up. Jeez, look at all this room for activities. That's a problem. So I'm underneath the truck, and I've located the power steering leak. That's what it tasted like. The oil, I mean. And it's coming from the bottom of this box. So I didn't do anything to this box, but I did put new lines in throughout the whole thing. But all I did here was clean the rust off of it, and then just painted it up. So I think the leak is just coming down here, just above the pitman arm, and the box is quite expensive, but hopefully I'll order a seal kit for it and get a puller to pull this off, and then do what needs to be done inside there. I'll start there. I think it's $8 for the kit. I think that box is like $400. At any rate, we found the leak. And that's not a today job. This is the today job. Alright, so just yank her off here. Get her set up on the floor. So, I think what's happened here is a chain went underneath of it, wrapped it up good and tight, and I don't think that I'll be able to just simply bend those back and then lay this flat. That's some pretty wishful thinking. Plus, I think that this has probably been stretched. Maybe I'll just assume that it's been stretched. So I think my plan here is I'm gonna put a little zip cut here right to the corner on both sides, and then I should be able to make this profile flatter against the floor. It's flat over there, and then it kind of comes up. So if I get that flat, and then I'll sort this out in a sec. Okay, so I got it a bit more straight, and as you can see, there's a bigger gap that shows up between the top and the bottom of this. So now I think I'm gonna see if I can straighten this out on both sides, and maybe they'll come back and match. If not, I might have to grind a little bit out of the inside, but we'll see. All right, so I think I got it straightened back out. This is the bottom side, and then when I flip it over top, straighten her back out, and it's more lined up. And then I marked on the bumper where it starts to roll this way. So the flat spot is between that spot and that spot. And then I'll put you in widescreen here, and it's kind of awkward one hand. It's pretty straight across now. So my plan to get this bumper on is what I did down here is these are attached to the bottom of the frame rail, and they were facing the other way in the last shot. So I swapped them from side to side so that it'll pick the frame rail up in this corner, and then I'll have it here, and it'll attach underneath there. So, and then what I'll do is I'll take up some of the space with a little bit of quarter, and then I will lengthen this part here so that I can pick up these bolts here. And then I'll show you what I come up with. So here's what I came up with. What I did was I extended this bracket down with this additional piece of quarter thick so I could catch most of the frame rail in the front of the truck, and then I also lifted this bracket up here after flipping it around from side to side, and that way it attaches to the bottom of the frame rail as well. So there'll be at least 5 or 6 points on each side where it attaches to the truck. And now it's all straightened out and back on. But it's on there pretty sturdy, and hopefully it'll serve as a good platform for when I need to stand on it to work underneath the hood. Or maybe put a winch on it in the future. So next up, what I want to do is I want to wire these headlights in, and as well these turn signals. I'll get those sorted out. This blackout light here doesn't really exist on modern vehicles. What I might do there is just well, not today, but probably what I'll do is put that on a toggle switch so I can turn that light on separately of these lights. So what I'll do here is I'll pull this bucket off, clean up the workbench, and show you what I'm working with. Okay, so we got the light out of the bucket here. This is a 2D1
halogen looks like it. Oh. This one's been converted over to 12 volts. The original truck was 24 volts, but anyways, as it gets older, you switch them over to 12 volts just for reliability and whatnot. You can see the connectors in the back right there. Those are the old style connectors where they used to connect in to the back of the headlight and then through to this connector. And then there's a little bit of, I don't know, it's hard to tell what that is. It's a little gummy. It's probably like a makeshift grommet. I'm not sure if that's original, but you can see that it kind of comes down a little bit there through so the wires don't chafe up. So my plan is to make some connectors that go from the back of this headlight into the Dodge wiring harness.
So I have the front of the Dodge wiring harness taken apart and just kind of spread out. Things of note are this is the windshield washer pump, the windshield washer reservoir low limit switch. Focus, buddy. Okay. We got your speed control module here. My speed control servo broke when we pulled the engine out. We got some grounds. This is a splice. This brings all the wires together, and then this thing just makes sure they connect to all the rest of them. I thought this was just a useless switch, but it turns out they all have continuity to one another. So it's kind of like a splice location. The two things I'm looking for here, this is the main headlight, and we got our turn signal here. These lights burnt out when we fired up the truck and had a charging problem, so I think it blew all the lights out. I'm not sure. And then over here I have the battery temperature sensor. Now what's it doing up here? This is where the old batteries were. It just makes sure that the batteries, if they get too warm, the alternator will lower the current charge, and so they don't boil over. And on the passenger side, things are a lot more simpler because it's the end of the wiring harness. This is a front ABS wheel speed sensor. They weren't offered on this model of truck. They were modeled in the next model year, the 2002. Then you got your headlight turn signal here. Both horns, high and low. And looks like another splice. And then you got your four-wheel drive. This goes down to the front axle, and make sure that, well, it gives you the light on the dash to make sure that four-wheel drive's clicked in. I pulled this old headlight harness off the 52, and you can see that there's a couple of butt splices in there, and the actual plug itself is a little worse for wear. So instead of trying to reuse this, I just went out and got a new headlight cable and harness here with the new plug, and I'm going to make my own wiring harness to splice into the 2001 Dodge Ram. I'm just over here double checking that I got the wiring right. So you got your common on this side, your low beams and high beams on the right, and I just have them fired into the old connector, and then I'm just doing a functional check. So I just have like the Sentry lights on right now, and then I'll turn the lights on and they come up, and then what I'll do here is I'll just click that. That gives me my high beams, and we got our high beams. So I'm pretty happy with that. Turn those off, back Sentry, and then when you turn the key off, it turns the lights off. So I'll get these wired in. And now I got the light bulb back together, and I got the pigtail coming out here with the connectors and some loom, and this is going to be fed through a grommet, and I'll get her hooked up. Fast forward a little bit, and I got all the lights hooked up, with the exception of that one. And even the turn signals work. They're not attached at the back, so they flash irregularly like you got the rear ones burned out, but I'll give you a show. So that's what it looks like with the turn signal going. It's going fast, like I said, but once I get the rear ones in, it should calm down.
And that's what it looks like with the four ways on and the headlights off and with the keys in it. So now that I got these lights in and wired in, I think the next step is to start doing a little bit of body work. I'm going to start with the fenders here. I'll take all the stuff off fenders, probably pull the fender, see where I might have missed welding, paint the bottom side of these fenders out because they haven't been painted yet. And then I'll start sanding the top and adding some filler to it. A little pro tip if you don't know. Sometimes I don't like these spray nozzles because they're a little wider. So I like to take these off, and then what I'll do is I'll take one from like a WD-40 can, and I'll throw that on, and that gets me all the pressure there. Just in case you don't know. Alright, one down, one to go. Got this painted black, and what I'm going to do once it dries off is I'm going to throw some seam sealer on the welds. That just prevents them from getting moisture into them. And then I'll hang them back on the truck and throw some body fill on. Alright, got both of these painted up. One's here, one's over there. And now I'm going to start tackling the front end. So I think I'm going to take off this panel around the front, the grill, and maybe the hood. I'm not sure yet. I might leave the hood still for right now and start sanding on those. And I'll have to go get one of those. Actually, I'm definitely going to take the hood off. That way I can get closer to the engine bay, and that way I can finish up the wiring that's underneath here. A lot of this stuff is hard to get to standing over the machine. It's nice to not have to tackle these 2 foot wide fenders, and then I'll be able to sort this out as soon as I get there. Alright, so all the body panels that are in front of this firewall are now off the truck, and I'll get those ready for paint. The way that I've designed this truck to come apart is that it does come apart. So in case I need to fix something in the future, like you just saw, I can tear it down and address whatever needs to be looked at. So here's the part everybody despises, paint prep. So I'm going to start tearing these rivets out. I'm going to start sanding these down, find any irregularities or low spots within the panels. If I find any holes, I'll weld them up. Oh, there's one. And then just keep doing that. And as for the back of the panels, I'll probably just paint those black. So now it's time to get down to work. Okay, so I got most of these panels sanded down in the front, just so they're smooth across here with a 60 grit finish. That'll give me a lots of bite for my 2K primer to adhere to. There's a couple low spots in here that I'd like to take care of with a little body filler, and also a couple of they're probably pinholes, you know what I mean. So I'll take care of those as well. So if you've never used body fill before, you just put what you want to lay out on there, and then you cross it with a little bit of hardener, which comes with the body filler, and you mix it up until it's uniform color. And I'd say that's ready to go. Also, this is a mixing board. This way, that way I got some disposable sheets, so when I'm done, rip it off, throw it out, and I got a new fresh seat underneath of it. So you can see in this instance that I added way too much hardener, and that only gave me a working life of about 45 seconds. So back to the drawing board. So the idea is to apply this as smooth as you can, which neither of these are good examples. It's been a long time since I've used body fill, So it's good to use it on these small jobs before you get into like bigger jobs. The downside to applying it like this example is that you spend more time sanding it. So I got both these fenders up on the stands, hit them with some 60 grit, and then also applied a first coat of filler just over some of the welding seams and also on some low spots in this contour. And then once that cures off, then I'll be back to sanding. Alright, time to shoot some paint. So what I have here is a low volume, low pressure spray gun. That's just because I got a really small air compressor. These are good for doing small jobs. I've shot a whole vehicle with it. You know, works. And I've definitely put a desiccant on the bottom of a desiccant and a filter. And what I'm going to shoot here is a little bit of primer gray with a little activator on it and mix that up. It's been a couple years since I've used this gun, so I'm just going to use some lacquer thinner, see if I can get comfortable with the settings and get those refigured out, pressure at the base of the gun and so forth, and go from there. I've got these cleaned up with wax and grease remover. These are just some small pieces in case I completely screw this up on the first crack. That way I won't have to sand so much stuff. And then I'm going to paint these grills also, or at least try to. There's going to be a lot of overspray and a lot of product loss. But if it works, it'll work well, I hope. And then the plan afterwards is to use a single stage top coat. Traditionally I've shot a 2-part, which is your color and then a clear on top of it. This one has your color and the clear in it. A lot of older vehicles were shot with a single stage paint, and this one isn't going to be an exception. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself here. First thing is to mix up a little bit of this primer and with your hardener, your activator, and then let's see how much trouble I get into. Oh shoot, I forgot to tell you what color I'm gonna be painting this. So it is called Wolf Gray. It's got a little bit of blue in it and just the smallest amount of metallic in it, but I really wanted to avoid metallic, and I don't think you can really pick up on it much there. This doesn't have the hardener in it. It's still like tacky. I just spread it out on a piece of card, but I like that color. So here's all the instructions to use this kind of primer. Looks like I'm going to be painting it, I'm going to be mixing up 4-to-1, and I'll be able to put about 2 to 3 coats on it. And I had to change the tip to a thicker one for shooting it. This one, they're looking for between 1.6 and 1.8, and this one's at 1.7. So I mixed it up 4-to-1 here and put it through a strainer before I put it in the gun. It's a good idea to use a strainer because then you get all this stuff out of your paint and now you don't have to deal with it. Alright, so I got the primer on. Doesn't look too bad. So I've got to wait a couple minutes before I shoot the color over top of it. And in the meantime, I'll clean the gun, switch it over, and start mixing up some top coat. Pretty humid today. I'm gonna have to change the desking out after just shooting that. I'm gonna see if I can't get that to dry out and then use it again. Okay, and they're painted. This is with the top coat on it. It looks pretty similar to the primer, but it's a little different, a little darker. I had a little problem here. I think some water got through the gun, or probably maybe below the gun. So I'll probably have to repaint that. But I'd consider this a success. And I'll bring it outside to give you an idea what it looks like in the sun. This is on the wrong side. Yeah, so something like that. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it for today. Yeah, it's probably gonna be a long edit if you made it this far. See you next time.